I'm Prabhakar from the Delhi Entertainer. Today I'm going to discuss about custodial deaths. The incident happened in Tamil Nadu where a father-son duo were killed while in police custody has shaken the nation, and a lot of discussions and debates going on about custodial deaths. Normally I bat for police, but today definitely I am not here to bat for the police, but to discuss about the problems faced by the police and other investigative agencies during the course of their investigations, and as a part of it, they're resorting to the tortures, various degrees of tortures, and the resultant deaths are serious injuries getting inflicted on people, whether they are innocent or criminals. The human rights activists always advocate that even if one is a criminal, the police doesn't have a right to inflict any injury or cause death during custodial interrogations. But I would like to touch upon the aspect, and in fact wanted to ask a counter question to all the human rights activists and other people, that if torture is not the solution, what solution they have to offer to make people admit their crimes. Any person who has any idea about how investigations happen when a crime takes place, when a suspect is picked up and custodial interrogation happens, most of the criminals are extremely hardened. They are trained from their childhood or adolescence. If they are the real criminals and going in the path of crime, first thing that taught to them is to be extremely hardened, physically, more than physically, mentally. Do whatever you want to do, they will never admit their crime. Now put yourself in the shoes of a cop. What will you do? You pick up a person, take him into custody for custodial interrogation, which also is for a very small period of time. During that period of time, you have to investigate and have to get the information from them, on the basis of which you decide whether FIR should be lodged or not, or whether he should be consigned to judicial custody or not. So in this short period, whatever other methods they apply, they don't yield any results. You keep on asking the people any number of times, they keep on denying. It is anybody's common sense that nobody will admit their crime, especially the hardened criminals. So I am not sure about the police manuals or jail manuals or manuals of other investigative agencies like CBI or narcotics or NIA, but we all keep hearing that there are 3 different degrees of torture. First degree, second degree, third degree. We keep saying that third degree is the severest of the tortures. So it is an accepted fact that the investigative agencies do indulge in torturing the suspects, because that is one of the accepted ways and means of extracting the truth. So if they don't do that, if they don't get admissions or uh, information from the suspects, there is no way they can register an FIR and take them to the court. Now think the crime scene in India. The crime figures keep on increasing. Small petty thieves to chain snatchers to very very heinous crimes like rapes, murders, extortions, kidnappings. In every aspect, the crime graph keeps on increasing. Then when that happens also, we criticize only the police. At that time we say police inefficient. They are not able to catch the criminal. They are not able to make them admit their crimes. They are not able to frame the charges properly, and ultimately they are not able to prove it in the court of law. So at various stages, the police and other investigative agencies are always on the back foot. So even to make out a case prima facie, so some admission is required. For that admission, to register an FIR and launch a criminal prosecution, the police has to resort certain degree of force upon the suspects. So it is normally in the type of some variety of torture they do, because some certain people at least break down during this type of investigations and admit their cases. Even that admission in the criminal law, as you know, that any admission made by a suspect is always denied in the first hearing in a court. That is the first lesson a criminal lawyer will teach you. Whatever admissions you make, even if it is written in your own hand and signed by you, you have a right to deny, saying that they have been extracted by using force. So again, the police is at a disadvantage, that when they get admissions also from the suspects in writing also, and they file a case, and all of them are thrown out of the window in the very first appearance by a criminal lawyer. Now that is also a questionable thing, whether criminal lawyers should exercise any due diligence or should keep on accepting every case. We have recently seen in Nirbhaya's case, when there was absolutely no doubt, they were given a fair trial and the orders have come and they were to be executed upon, but till the last moment there was some very very intelligent and intellectual criminal lawyer keep on exploiting the loopholes in the law and keep on extending the date for execution of them. So no penalty for them, no action is taken against such criminal lawyers. So every criminal gets a smart criminal lawyer who will always use all his tricks under his hat to get them acquitted. And there is no denying that in many cases the criminals also get acquitted, and then police are blamed, not only blamed, censured by the judges for their shoddy investigation. So police are caught in a fix. If they do, they are criticized. They don't do, then also they are criticized. While doing, if some methods are to be applied, and if there is, if we put ourselves in their position, there is no measurement to see till what extent one can bear the torture. So sometimes it happens, it may result in a grievous hurt, or people do die. But having said that, I am absolutely, there is not an iota of justification for the custodials tortures, severe tortures or grievous hurts or the custodial deaths. I am not justifying that. But having said that, we need to find a solution. If they have to be banned altogether, okay, you ban it. Then people will be taken with all courtesy, with a lot of respect, make them sit in the police station, ask some cozy questions which they will say no and deny everything, then let them loose in the society. Let them go and commit the crimes all over again. So is that acceptable to us? Then if that is not acceptable to us, you and I, and especially all the so-called NGOs who always keep the human rights flag flying high, they should give a solution to the police how to investigate. I have good friends in police, CBI, narcotics and NIA also. When I discuss with them, they tell so many stories, especially one inspector of narcotics said that they are so hardened. Sometimes even these tortures which we talk about so much are of no use on them. Their skins have become like buffaloes. You keep on hitting them, even your sticks will break, but they will not break. Now, the people who are caught red-handed with the narcotics, along with the vehicles, along with the large stocks of narcotics, they simply deny that we are not there. We have been framed. Some criminal lawyer comes, he will also say the same thing. This fellow is innocent. And every person will try to project that he is a carrier. And there is hardly any punishment for a carrier, maybe 1 to 3 years for a carrier. So if every guy who is caught with the narcotics, either if he gets away by saying that I'm framed or I'm simply a carrier, I don't know who owns it. So nobody except God knows ultimately who owns this drugs. So that is the reason we find this drugs everywhere, every street corner you find drugs. Because again the same problem. Narcotics people, they put their lives at stake, at risk, and give a hot chase. The great difficulty catch the people along with the stocks. But still our judicial system is such, thanks to our criminal lawyers, that 90% of the people get acquitted. So we have to decide to ourselves whether we want the crime rates to keep on going high and higher till it comes to knocking our own doors, or give some leeway to the police and investigative agencies, let them work the way they are working, at least to bring some semblance in the society. But having said that, this particular case of Tamil Nadu is an extreme case where the so-called crime is of a very, very moderate nature, of keeping the shop open beyond the permitted hours. So that is something which really not required an arrest. Even if there is an arrest, there is nothing to be extracted from them, because it's simply, yes, if it is a non-compliance, it is a non-compliance, a violation of a rule, yes, it's a violation of rule, you have to close your shop by a specific time. They didn't do that, file a case. There was nothing to interrogate or investigate in that case. But that particular bunch of polices, for whatever reason, they have really indulged in using force much beyond what has been required, resulting in the death of 2 innocent people. So police on their part, Ministry of Home Affairs on their part, should also train the police to be reasonable, to be humane. Yes, wherever it is to be required, also required extent you use it with a lot of discretion and judiciousness, so that people don't get hurt and got killed or grievously injured. But whatever you have to get out of your investigation, only to facilitate that much of force should only be permitted to be used. So this needs a lot of training of the police people, and sensitization is very important. Till that time, these debates keep on going. So as in the beginning I said, I, like anybody else, condemned these deaths in Tamil Nadu in the custody, but I really don't blame the police and investigative agencies to use certain degree of force. So we all have to put our brains together and find a solution how to address this very crucial issue which affects you, me, and the society. And let me tell you, no police, no investigative agency feel happy torturing anybody.